Hello, everyone, and welcome to Edge Talk Radio. Today, I'm going to be talking with Georgia Jean. We're going to be talking about the circle of light transformation, shifting realities, and it is going to be so much fun. I can't wait to get into it. So, who am I? My name is Angela Zabel. I have been connected with spirit, working with a team in the non-physical my entire life, sharing messages from a multitude of realms with people. I'm a teacher, coach, medium, radio show host, writer, retreat host, gallery reader, doing speaking engagements, offering guidance, mediumship, intuition with online private and group sessions, classes, and the Amplified Universe monthly membership, growing our connection to us, our world, all that is around us, and our role in it. You can find out more about me at angelazabel.com, pretty much on all the social media aspects. And today I'm going to try to get this in here. Let's see about this. So we are here with Edge Magazine. It is the leading events and media resource dedicated to all aspects of holistic living, health, wellness, and the mysteries beyond, sharing information, wisdom, and resources committed to promoting businesses, organizations, and individuals who support our collective journey to wholeness and balance. It's currently distributed in 30 states and Canada, with over 17,000 magazines per printing, and a vibrant online magazine with over 42,000 people reached per month. Have the magazine shipped to your door, stay up to date with the newsletter, become a drop spot, and check out Kelly Wagner on the Being Curious show. And you can find out more about that at edgemagazine.net. And today we are here with Gloria Jean. And in 2004, or not Gloria Jean, sorry about that, Georgia Jean. I was talking to a Gloria earlier. My apologies.
It's okay. It's my most miscalled name. So sure, it's my spirit name.
I think so. So, Georgia Jean, you had a knock on the floor spiritual event where she connected with the Circle of Light, a non-physical collective supporting humanity through the evolutionary shift. She spontaneously developed the ability to channel them verbally and transmit their frequencies energetically. Since then, thousands and thousands of transmissions, they have shared one of the most comprehensive overviews of the now matrix of reality and how it's created. And most importantly, how we can generate radical shifts to assist both personal and collective evolution. Assisting humanity to move through the 3D and into 5D is their specialty. And Georgia and the Circle of Light have been featured on Gaia's TV interview with ED, and that stands for Extra Dimensional with Ruben Langdon, and is regularly featured on Spread Your Third Eye podcast. And I encourage everyone, she has so much on her website. I've been looking through it. It is called The Circle Evolution .com home, and that will also, all those links will be down below. She's also on Facebook, Instagram, and there's multiple ones on Instagram and YouTube, X, and Pinterest. There's so much out there. She also has the book The Circle of Light and the Philosopher, Another Magnificent Day. Subscribe to her email list. Highly encourage you. She also has the Circle of Light and the Monday night Active Awakening conference calls. She has the Paradigm Shift recordings, monthly activation gateway, and so much more. You definitely have to check out Georgia because she is absolutely amazing. I've been seeing some of her stuff and I can't wait to get into it tonight, Georgia, because I've got to ask, how in the world did you get into doing the channeling and what were you doing before?
Yeah, yeah, it is a bit of a story now, like many of our intuitive friends. I was always intrigued by this stuff. Like my stepmother gave me a book on palmistry when I was 15, and I was like, "Ooh, what's this?" And then I got tarot cards, and I was just, drawn to the material. But when I was about 30, I was living in LA. I was being a stand-up comedian, and it was a very brutal, brutal, brutal industry, very tough. And so I was doing a lot of work on myself at the time. I'd also learnt some, about law of attraction. I'd been introduced to Abraham. And a friend of mine who was also into Abraham, we actually went and so I'm sure your readers or your people know who Abraham Hicks is. We
Abraham
had, we
Hicks.
had actually gone to see Abraham together, and I got pulled up out of the audience and got to talk to them, which I think was a pretty powerful activation, actually, in retrospect. But anyway, I was asking like, oh my God, I'm a comedian and I'm starving and everything is terrible. And at the time I was being, um, yeah, harassed and bullied and stuff like that. But my friend had started communicating to these guides through this thing called a Pathfinder. It was like a game she found at Barnes and Noble. It was like a
Oh,
like Barnes and Noble, your spiritual source, basically. And she found it under a table. It just called to her. And it was like a shamanistic talking board. So basically like a Ouija board, but it was all in the light. And she's like, oh, this is cool. And she started connecting through this board and could sit by herself and the disc would just spin around and around and around. Like, not that's like old school when you were kids and like the glasses, like, you're pushing it, it was
the
just,
Ouija board.
yeah, yeah, like zooming around and started saying all this stuff, we can give you so much information if you let us speak through you.
Mm.
So, because we had now been introduced to channeling with Abraham, and I was also reading the Seth materials, we were like, "Oh my God, this is so cool!" Like we weren't afraid. But I was just expecting it to happen to her. There was some things that happened when we would get together, and the energies would come in, and she'd kind of get all weird and spacey as we do. But we didn't. This is like 20 years ago, so there wasn't a lot, that people were really getting, people weren't getting downloads like they are now. Like that wasn't part of the vernacular. It was people
No.
were just learning about law of attraction through Abraham. Um, what the bleep do we know had come out, but there wasn't, it was nothing like now when people were talking about star seeds and everybody's from another planet, basically. This was
So
pretty,
different.
pretty, pretty on the down low, right? So I had to come to that decision to stop going to the Comedy Store, which was the big club I was performing at. I was performing with big name people like Joe Rogan and Andrew Dice Clay, but it was just super toxic. I'd had a horrible experience and I had to leave. And basically a week later I met up with my friend and we're sitting with the board and being all like, I would always sit and take the dictation like the spirit secretary. I'd write it all out. And the energy started coming in and spelling out, we're here, there's masses of energy. We want to come through. You're going to feel a little bit weird. And I'm writing this down. And just like as I got like, you're going to feel a little bit weird, this big surge of energy came into me.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my God, I think it's happening to me. And it just poured into me. And I just went into this instant trance. Like I'm waiting for my friend to do it, and I just went into instant trance. And then I came up and these energies just started speaking through me. And they're like, we're here and we're here to help the planet and you will help us. And that whole weekend was just it was a very wild weekend because once I was open, they were able to talk through my friend to my friend through me
Oh.
and open her up, and then these energies were just like popping between us. Like she would start channeling and be like, we're bringing in high frequencies, and then they'd say like transferring energy, and it would come over to me, and I'd have all this energy
Oh.
come into me, and then I would channel. It was super wild. Still probably, even though I've had tons of beautiful, super energetic experiences, this is still like a wild weekend. And there was just so much energy. We would go out of the room that we were in and we were like smoking cigarettes at the time because we were like, like what the hell is going on in there? It was the only thing that kind of stopped this kind of massive flow that we weren't used to, and we would walk back into the room and the energy was just so powerful. Literally, we just like have to get on the floor and let it come in and clear our system. And that's really how it began. And then we had a whole period of kind of like testing it and figuring out whether it was real or we were just making stuff up. And I'm sure a lot of that you or a lot of people have had to go through that period. But um, that's kind of how it started. I had to build a relationship with it and learn to trust it. And then over the years, and I started working with people pretty quickly because other people would feel the energy. So that was very validating for me. Um, and then over the years, I personally just had to go through a lot of consciousness cracks as well to open up the channel and bring in high frequencies, bring in more and more expansive information as well. At the beginning, it was a bit like I joke we were like the Abraham Hicks cover band because it just, we're just channeling law of attraction stuff. I'm like, this, it doesn't seem that original. And then, as things progressed, our whole huge body of work started to come through.
And when, I mean, it sounds like just an amazing weekend to start. And then just, I've got to say, when I started doing things, it's like you learning to trust yourself. And like you said, am I crazy? Was this crazy? Am I bringing
Totally.
it in?
100%. 100%. And learning how to let all that come up, and also the high frequency stuff also just pushed up a lot of stuff really quickly. So it was also like, I'm working through, having all this like super high vibration energy come in, but then like all this anger would come up and a lot of emotion and stuff that needed to be cleared out of my channel. So it was really very intense. Obviously, now we guide people through that process, but we didn't really have many people in front of us trailing the way, paving
Oh,
the way for this pathway in such a specific way. Um, so yeah, it was super powerful, and it's definitely took time to trust. And I had another friend, my other friend who I had the event with, she didn't really pick it up the way I do. I think she had a business, and I was just like a comedian who just like basically lost her big break. So I was like, okay, I'll do this now. Um,
You're free to go now.
yeah, and I was still doing comedy, but I wasn't as consumed by it or that club anymore. And so but I had another friend who was very helpful because she would sit with me and just be like, bring them in, and would be very patient. And a lot of times at first too, just the energy would come in. And now I really understand that it was helping to rewire my brain and open things up energetically. So she would kind of sit with me, and she would also ask questions, and then she was generous in her validation so I could trust and just allow things to come through. And yeah, and I highly recommend that for anybody who's wanting to open up. I think when people get gifts and abilities, um, there's such a pressure on it that it's like arriving perfectly, and it really isn't. It really is an
Yes.
adaptation you have to go through so you can train your brain to pick up these frequencies, and for it to become more congruent and what we would call accurate. But there's a lot of stuff to work through along the way, and you have to have a generous and a soft approach, to developing it.
I love the fact that, like you said, you have to learn to trust it. It's a process as you
Yeah.
go through it. And as you do so, it's also learning to work with that energy. And I just want to ask you too, was there physical aspects of working through the energy? What were those like, and how did you release them?
Oh yeah, tons of physical. Like literally this past weekend when they came through. Like this was like the 2000s when we were all wearing like tight jeans and thongs and stuff like that. And like the energy was so strong. I was like standing up, like spinning around. This because they told us to get a friend to come and video it. Unfortunately, we lost the video. But like my
Oh man.
thong was totally hanging out of my jeans. I was just like, this is all going on. And so it was very physical. And then the energies would come in at first, and I'd be really like spinning around, and it was pretty wacky looking, honestly. But over time, just allowing the energy to come in, there was a lot of clearing. You get kind of like the shakes. I mean, when we work with clients, a lot of the clients experience these sort of, body movements. But it also, I had never been what I would call energy sensitive. Like, I think I had an intuitive sense of touch when I would touch people.
Yeah.
I always joke that I had healing hands because I would just sort of know where pain was, but I wasn't getting the rushes of energy in my body or feeling my chakras. This event basically blew all of that open. And then I was just having to buy crystals all the time, and I could feel all their frequencies. I would pick them up, and then I would start to feel what they were actually doing in my body, and get a sense of, what is making what other energetic things happen. Yeah, tons of physical clearing. And that's a big part of the work that we still do today with our clients, is opening up the physical vessel, because. The work of this is really ultimately what we are doing is we are bringing in this higher frequency consciousness to embody, to be embodied by myself as a practitioner. So we can, it's not just the channeling, it's the radiating frequency that you're emanating when you um, have done a lot of work and worked through a lot of things that becomes influential around you. And once you're embodying the higher frequencies, you're really starting to materially manifest reality in a different frequency bandwidth. So for a lot of people, the spiritual awakening really, the path is really to bring that into embodiment, not so much to get out, but to
Yeah.
bring it in, because that's how we're really going to change the personal and the collective reality, to embody these new codes basically, and then emanate that in the world, emanate that into our creations, and it just starts to become reality basically after that.
I love that part of it, that we're here to embody that new
Mhm.
energy, embody all of that frequency coming in,
Yeah,
not so much of, I mean, we're releasing, like you said, releasing emotions and going through it. And
yeah,
I agree when I was, and even now, there's times where the emotions will just be so strong.
huge waves that come
It,
through. Yeah,
it's,
we work with a lot of stuff. We call them planetary templates too, because a lot of times intuitives and people who are here doing this kind of energetic work, we're here to help the planet evolve. And obviously, I'm not, it's not even the planet, the Earth is fine. It's the people.
yes,
It's the
I
human
like that.
collective. Let's be honest, right? So, but we
Yeah.
have a lot of collective history of pain and suffering, and that's really what is wired into the grids that create creation. So a lot of people who are here doing this work really are planetary healers, and when we get hit by those waves, we're often helping to process that collective energy and make it free. Like energy, it can't be destroyed or created. So we're doing a lot of transmutation. So when that emotion comes in, we're recycling it, the energy in motion. We're recycling and purifying the energy so it can take on the new forms that will be reflective of these new frequencies that are coming in. And that's how reality really shifts at the end of the day. We're not
Yeah.
really getting rid of anything except for the shape that energy is in.
I like how you said it's transmutation, transformation of the energy that's here. Because we've been living in this energy for such a long time, thousands of years in this
Yeah,
energy. And
yeah.
you're here now, and you and others helping to move that energy to something different. And you talked about going from 3D to 5D,
Mm.
and I think there's a lot more beyond that yet that we're doing.
Yeah, I think it's it's a simple way to help people understand,
Yes.
like a game upgrade. I mean, that's really what it is. Like the 3D game is like, original Mario Brothers. And we're like bringing in new consciousness. We're changing the avatar, and then we're changing that avatar's capacity to shift the world in front of them, basically. And we work with a lot of energies. We work up like there's an energy that comes in that's basically one degree off source. So it's enough resistance to source consciousness so that it can actually interact in some way. It's a super high frequency. It's often not very verbal, but it just comes in and like deletes files, because it's the files that we have that really create the reality that we experience. Um, so where the human potential can go is really, based on what we can clear from but it's actually our biological consciousness. A lot of the most resistant stuff is within what we call the biological belief structures. So most people are familiar with their belief structures, like, I'm good enough or I'm not good enough. And we can work on those things fairly consciously and be like, okay, I'm gonna choose a different thought or look at this more positively. But our biological belief structure, which is actually what is wired and fired into our biology, into the DNA, into the collective memory of our cellular consciousness, that's a little harder to access without, some assistance to actually bring the program rewrites in on that level. And that's really the work the big work because it's also the 3D reality is very governed by the survival mind and the nervous system programming, which is a very contracted reality and it causes a lot of problems. It's what creates war, polarity, divisiveness, the hoarding of resources, decay and entropy of the body. It's a deep program. And that is in our core DNA. So that when those 1 degree off source energies are kind of coming in, that's the stuff they're just like, you humans are not going to get to this on your own. We see where it is. We're just going to delete that for you.
Is that also what you call the primitive mind?
The primitive mind, yes. So
Yes.
talk about the survival mind, the primitive mind program.
Yes.
Our whole reality, these are things that we also call them like the grids that create creation. They're so deep in our programming. They're so
Yes.
endemic, they're so pervasive. We actually don't know what reality is like without that. Even our most civilized self, la-di-dying, is still so run by the primitive mind that
Yes.
we don't know. Like if, even I would say even the richest people in the world are being run by the primitive mind because that's why they feel they need to hoard resources. It isn't about just like this is what abundance looks like. This is what not being at poverty and abundance. It's about the distortion that happens when our individual and collective programming is being run by a lack limitation system, which says we have to hoard resources or fight for resources. When you get outside of the human egoic framework or the 3D framework, that's not how consciousness is operating. Consciousness is an unlimited construct. So the way consciousness and resources is restricted is not solely in the human framework, but certainly within our framework, we only really have known how to run energy that way through our projectors. But the 5D is going into the heart and running energy through the heart. That is not limited. The projector system that runs energy through the heart does not obey those old programs of the 3D mind. So that's one of the major shifts is that you're not running energy through the psychological mind or the biological belief structures as well, but that you're actually running energy through your heart and letting the heart create the reality and then receiving it and responding to it instead of like trying to make it happen.
We've all been trying to make it happen for a very long time, and
Yeah,
now
and look at where we are now, you know.
yes.
That's it. You can see in the collective that the polarity is so out of control because everybody's mind is saying this way is the right way, but all minds are operating through polarity. So only when we can bypass the mind, the 3D mind, run energy through the heart, can we start creating a reality that's beyond survival, beyond polarity, beyond separation, beyond decay and entropy, and all the other sort of assumptions of the 3D program.
I think that's something really important for people to realize is you call it the primitive mind going into our programming that's so deep-seated. And I myself keep looking for it, and then it's like, oh, there it is again. There it is again,
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
to figure out where it is. But
yeah.
like you had said, working through the heart is so key going forward. So
Okay.
key.
And it's this idea of a surrender because, and I
Yes.
know these ideas can sound really basic, very simple, and actually a lot of it is simple, and the mind wants to keep it complicated because that's how it keeps us in its game. But so as I say this, it sometimes just sounds super duh, but when we can accept that if we knew how to create a better reality, it would already be in existence.
Yes.
We can start to understand the limitation that we actually have. We can actually go into non-resistance and be like, okay, if I look around the world today and we've tried everything, we've whatever, this is what we've got. This is what we're getting. This is our collective manifestation. That is the doorway into understanding the power of surrender. Because when you can actually go, okay, this is it, then I must surrender to allow a new consciousness to come in and actually shift the reality. We have to get over the idea that even our most intelligent, wise selves still don't know how to take us past this particular threshold. And this is why surrender at this time to the heart and allowing some greater intelligence to work through the system is key. It's a little bit like and we, I'm sure many people come on and they talk about that idea that we're in a play, we're in a theater and we're characters in a play, and the people in the play are the characters who are invested in the storyline. Like it's the fight at the dinner table with the, like whatever. That's the drama of the play is what we call the little me perspective. But there's a whole production company behind the play, and we're going through a set shift right now. We're going from black box theater to Cirque du Soleil, and our little me's are like still playing out our roles of fighting at the table, but the set is changing. And we need to let go of trying to fight at the dinner table to figure out how to fix it and just allow the production crew to change the set and to change the action and for us to just receive the new scripts and then start playing that out. And we are innately the little me at the table, and we're also the production company from our broader selves. Like nothing's being done to us, it's from our collective desire to evolve that
Yes.
we are going through a shift change, but we just have to accept that this meat processor computer doesn't know how to actually change the whole set. And that's why we surrender and let what we call this the master consciousness, which is actually the intelligence that's operating through the heart center and has the new scripts, has the new, has also
Mhm.
already seen all the ways the play can play out, already knows the one we're going to like the most because it's not controlled by linear mind. And it's just trying to get us on that page. So if we can surrender to that, then we're in for a good time.
I'm excited for everything going
Yeah.
forward. And
Yeah.
it I know there's a huge shift coming in yet still, and you're one of the people helping to bring that shift in. And
Yeah.
it is the heart and us. And I love how you said looking at it as a play where they're changing the set. They're moving that background to something different, which
Yeah.
I think is exciting to
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah. It's what we incarnated for, but we
Yeah.
just are becoming conscious that we have incarnated for this and for us to not try and hold on to the old scripts and the fight, win the fight at the dinner table.
Yeah.
That's when people are still in the mind, they're like, I want to still want to win this fight here and just missing, it's real forest for the trees stuff. So a lot of our programs are to help to train people to get into the heart, to move into a greater capacity to witness what is actually happening, and to help with the processing of the energy, the harvesting of the energy from the old program to put into the new grid by understanding where it's being generated from and where the most energy there is for us to get to put into the new framework.
So I've just got a question for you. Is there a message or anything that the Circle of Light would like to share with us about how we can get into that new?
I mean, I'm quite happy to bring them in, just as I was just thinking, I think we should bring the circle in on this one. And you can have a chat with them about it because they're great. And also there's a lot of frequencies that come through with them when I actually channel. So it's not just in the teaching, but it's in the transmission as well. So if you want to, I'll just bring them in and you can chat with
Absolutely.
them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Love to. Thank you.
Hi, yes, Cindy, dear ones, we are here and we are most delighted to make connection with you here on another magnificent day in your earth plane. It's always a great delight for us to connect in this way, and we truly are here to be of service and to assist all your dear ones become more aware, become more conscious, become more aligned, and become more tuned in into the bandwidth of creation that you have collectively already decided that you are wanting to move into. And one of the things, and dear one, feel free to interrupt us as we are sharing if you seek greater clarity on what we are speaking of. But one thing we want dear ones to understand is that you are focal point creators. And in consciousness, everything exists. Every potentiality, every possibility, every outcome, every thought, every feeling, and even experiences that are beyond the human concept of thought and feeling is within the broader infinite ocean of consciousness itself. And so when you come into incarnation, you are narrowing the area of that ocean that you are exploring, and through your focal point you will come into a materialized reality that's generated through your through your system that becomes your actualized reality. And we're really here to assist you to let go of what is keeping your focus in that ocean, in those places where there's still a lot of suffering, limitation, restriction, uh, pain, and get you into that part of the ocean where you can live incarnated and experience a lot more of your infinite power, your infinite potentiality, your infinite joy, the joy of creating through a physical body, rather than the sometimes joy of being in the physical body that also a lot of times comes with a lot of hardship.
I just want to say thank you so much for coming in. The circle of light, the all of the beings that are coming in is amazing and beautiful to have you here today. And when you were talking about the division of people where you're looking at the lack and where you want to be, and there is so much division in the world today, what
Indeed.
can we do to change our focus?
Yes. So it is, as Georgia said, it's difficult, but it's simple. It's challenging, but it's easy. And what makes it difficult and challenging is simply the sheer amount of energy that the human collective has invested in the old 3D framework, the history of the storylines, even the continuing projections into the future based on the programming of the current system. And what, of course, you're experiencing right now is manifestation. There's a lot of energy invested in that. So the simple thing is, if you can, as Georgia was saying, move your creative center from the mind and into the heart, which is just a matter of whenever you are not actively using your mind for as a tool for something productive, like I'm going to wash the dishes, like I'm going to use my mind to pull out the the soap and stack the dishes, unless you're using your mind as the tool that it's meant to be, you really want to be seated in the heart. And that is as simple as just bringing your focus down into the middle of the chest. The minute you put your focus at the heart center, you have moved out of running energy through the mind projector. So think of it very simply. There's two projectors. One projects all the 3D mind storylines and potentials. One projects all the heart 5D potentials. When you're plugged into the heart, you're already creating those 5D potentials. But the challenge is because you have so much energy invested up here, by simple law of attraction, your mind tends to pull, or your focus tends to pull back into the mind storylines. It's like, but what about the stuff on the news? What about the thing that happened with my brother the other day? What about this? What about that? And the mind is constantly, because it also wants to keep you in its playing field, which it understands, and to your nervous system's best effort is keeping you safe. So the mind actually fears the change to the 5D system. It's like it understands this navigation, it understands this play, it understands the script at the 3D theater, and it wants to keep playing that out. So it's invested in that. So the simple technique that we share with our dear ones is that to simply start with this practice of bringing your focus into your heart, releasing tension in your body that will send the signal to the nervous system that it's actually safe for you to begin to project energy through the heart because you want to talk to the nervous system with the body by just releasing tension. And then keep your focus in your heart for as long as you can. Just hold it there. But as soon as the mind starts to be distracting, which for many people will be very quickly, it might only be a second before the mind is saying, this is super boring. Why are they doing this? Because the mind doesn't want you to get comfortable in the heart yet. That will change. Then you just be aware of what the mind is doing. And then you use this love and acceptance mantra, which is basically saying, I love and accept the part of me that thinks this is super boring. I love and accept the part of me that doesn't know why I'm doing it. I love and accept the part of me that's worried about what I saw in the news. How is this going to fix it? Whatever it is, you just simply observe it. You don't go start fighting with it. You don't say, get back into the heart because we're not going to get the good reality, because now you're just in your mind fighting with your mind. The
Yes.
power of the love and acceptance is that you have absorbed it, you have observed it, and when you use the love and acceptance, you're actually absorbing the energy that was in that mind generated thought framework. And then you just bring your focus back to the heart. Each time you come back to the heart, that energy you've just harvested from that thought framework, you're now going to give to the heart. This makes the heart more empowered. It makes the heart manifestation more powerful. And as the heart manifestation becomes more powerful, to that logical mind that wants to keep you safe, it becomes easier for it to surrender because it starts to actually see how good the heart manifestation is compared to the mind manifestation. So it starts to become your friend. It starts saying, "Oh, remember when the heart just generated this incredible experience instead? I know now that it's safer." So a lot of what you're learning, dear ones, that's very key right now is to have a powerful witness. Am I in my mind and being distracted in what we call the mind's shiny toys, which is important, highly energized toys that it's saying, quick, look over here, look at the politics, look at this, look at the that, look at the this. And even if you are, don't judge yourself or be mad because you're still harvesting then. The trick is to use the correct process at that time once you have witnessed where you are. Sometimes you go into your heart, nothing's going on. The trick is to just stay there for as long as you can. The next step you can do is consult with the heart. Say, heart, show me, what do I need to be aware of to understand or about this? Or what do I, heart, show me where there's the most energy for me to harvest, and let the heart reveal it. You're actually enabling the heart, you're giving the heart permission to be a more active participant now in your processing through its revelations. And sometimes, because the heart wants you to get to the good stuff, it's not,
Yes.
the old system is, I must work for it to be worthy of it. Because it's a hierarchical system that is built on this sort of these internalized constructs of status, where the heart is already saying you deserve to live powerfully in your creative construct. And the creative construct generated from the heart, because it is infinite, your joy does not take away from somebody else. In the 3D framework, because it is a lack limitation system, a lot of the time somebody's pleasure is at the cost of somebody else's pain. Somebody's abundance is at the cost of somebody else's life force, basically. So the heart doesn't generate like that. It is beyond that old paradigm. So again, it's simple. Your job is to simply harvest energy, feed it to the heart, harvest energy, feed it to the heart. Let the heart manifestation build, trust, surrender, allow, and as it builds, start to respond and live it.
That is a wonderful way to look at it. And I think so much more freeing for a lot of people because it's been taught that it is so hard and difficult to do.
Yeah.
And for people who are seeing and wanting. They feel what they want. They feel what they want for the future, but they're seeing what's in front of them. Is there a way for them are to connect with you directly?
Indeed. Well, you can connect with us directly through the channel, of course, and she has multiple ways of doing that. You can also always call in our energy to assist you because we don't always uh, we exist beyond the channel, of course, but sometimes it's easy to come to the channel so you can get it verbalized as well in the teachings and to meet with us. We wanted to share something about what you just said then because it's a very helpful point you are making that a lot of the times people are feeling what they want and inviting it and calling it in consciously or and unconsciously but they're not seeing it. But what we want you to understand that whenever you're calling in that energy, what first must arise is the resistance to it.
Mm.
But the good news is resistance itself is energy. It's just energy in a resistant form. So when you know how to take that energy and again, transform it, transmute it, reclaim it, what happens is you kind of pop through that veil of resistance and you're much closer, if not there, to be experiencing what you want. So again, when we give you that idea of bandwidth, let's just say here's the 3D bandwidth with all its shenanigans, and you're trying to get over to the heart bandwidth, but first you have to go through the mind and sort of navigate the mind maze here and deconstruct the things that are strengthening this. So when you do the heart revelation work, a lot of the times when people first go into the heart, what will happen is they might get even uncomfortable emotions emerging first. And we always want people to understand this, that you have to sometimes get comfortable with the uncomfortable feelings because that emotion is your presence is allowing lockdown emotion to actually move and change form. But if you're always resisting it, you're actually resisting the energy itself that you need for to be over here basically or to be over here so it's a little bit of a journey to if you say heart show me what do I need to be most aware of, you're basically saying show me where is the most energy in resistance, and then you may see it, you might see it immediately after you say it, you might have emotion come up, or next week you might have a fight with a friend but it brings up a lot of grief or resentment that has been buried and held unconscious. And even though you're not feeling the resentment consciously all the time, it's still a frequency that's generating in your reality and keeping you in that certain bandwidth. Bandwidth is contained by resistance. Your experience of what you have is sort of perimetered by your resistance. So if the resistance was old resentments and grief, and you can actually get that energy from that old resentment and grief and transmute it. Now we're over here. Now there might still be some energy that's caught up in some old anger and fear, but you transmute it, and now we're here. And now there's some energy that's in some old collective belief structures about whatever it is, limitations on who you are because you're a certain age or certain gender or shape or size. Now we take that energy. Now we're over here in this bandwidth, no longer limited by the resentments, the anger, the belief structures. Now there's some ancestral stuff that pops up, and you become conscious of the pain of a certain collective that you are generationally connected to. Oh, you process that. Now we're over here. Oh, now you become aware of belief structures that you had simply from your actual experience of incarnation itself. You process that. Now you're over here and you're in another bandwidth. So that's really the process, is the revelation of the veils of resistance that are perimetering you here and not keeping you over there. Then your system that generates the reality, which is the relationship between the frequencies that are now available in the new bandwidth and your ability for your brain and your biological and physical system to process that into your visceral experienced reality, what you see, feel, taste, touch, hear, and know. That's the other part of this shift that is of a biological nature. You actually have to retrain your brain and its relationship to the pineal gland and other elements to actually generate the new bandwidth. So part of that not being able to get into this bandwidth is that there's also a process of I need to be exposed to higher frequencies, so this can be dissolved, but now I can actually process this reality and give it to you as something. Oh, and keeping on going, do you see, dear ones? Because there are collective ceilings on the frequencies that even come into the brain as a collective, and then you have personal ceilings. So part of the process is that you're actually opening yourself up to let these high frequencies in. That is that concept of downloads coming in that a lot of people are having where they feel energy, but they really don't know what it is. It's just that beginning to be exposed to new intelligence in new source codes. It's the new programs coming in that the meat suit system has to learn how to process, and then that also creates your reality. So that's some of the delay. Why doesn't just a sudden boom, I have these beliefs, they're taken away, and now I'm over here because your avatar just can't generate reality like that.
Thank you for that answer because it is little steps, steps at a time as we go through it. And that's the one thing with Georgia is she has become more acclimated to you being able to give that information.
Yes,
And that's one of the things I encourage people to go check out her website because
yes,
she's done all that work. She's been working with you for a very long time. And
indeed.
I
And
appreciate all.
many things we will just interrupt for a moment before
Yes.
many things that she has set up is set up in a way that people can have regular exposure to higher frequencies. If you are living a very 3D life where you are not getting exposure to high frequencies, it's also very hard for your brain to start this process of learning it. So whenever you watch a higher or listen, when we are speaking, there's always frequencies here as well. So when you listen to the recordings or connect with us, it's a lot about exposing you to the frequencies, 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 and then taking you through that adaptive shift.
And I have a question for you is you came in at this point in our human journey. And why did you choose now to come in? And also, what do you see for us going forward?
Indeed. So we will say to you that we are coming through in this way is really because of your collective choice to go through this incarnation of transition. So all the dear ones who have been incarnating at this time and to varying degrees knew that this would be a time of an evolutionary shift. And such possibilities of this would be on the playing field, would be part of the theater of life at this time. So we are really a response to you. So when you are in the game of the storylines that you're in, and you're either consciously saying, I want to move beyond this storyline. Consciousness is always responding to that. It's
Yeah.
always responding to that. But it's always responded to that, actually. We want you to know, and this is part of the vibrational being. Even if you are suffering, that you are always simultaneously saying, I want something else. So it can either be conscious or it can be a reaction to what you are emotionally experiencing. So consciousness is always responding. And as you have asked and asked and asked, it's helped this veil to thin to the point that now you can have these more direct multidimensional experiences where somebody like this dear one can actually act as a more conscious gateway and verbalize and hold that gateway open to let the frequencies actually saturate into your reality more. Because there has to be a kind of partnership for consciousness to respond. And when you have a physical channel, And of course, channeling doesn't just happen this way, it happens in many ways, but specifically speaking to this experience you're having right now. When you have a physical channel who's physically here on Earth, they're holding also, which is very important, Earth codes. That helps to open up a physical gateway into Earth for these frequencies that usually lie outside of the collective agreement to come in. So it's literally like it's something that can physically open the window. Does that make sense, dear one? And let the rays of sunshine of new consciousness come in. And because as you've been asking and asking, even these potentialities have opened up, and that's why there's so many more people doing it. Now, of course, the sophistication at which a channel is able to translate concepts is dependent on, again, what aspects of their own egoic framework are broken down enough, dissolved enough, so the intelligence can be translated in the cleanest way through that window and given to you as conscious conscious tools to use. But the frequencies are answering. The frequencies are answering. We are a response. Georgia likes to call us the Google of consciousness. Wherever you are setting forward your questioning, the Google of consciousness is answering, but you're putting the question out there. So this is why it's very interactive with you. So we are co-creators, collaborators. But in terms of the collective choice, why is it happening at this time? Because you've really played out a lot of the old storylines, the old theaters. You don't really want reruns of war and reruns of suffering and poverty and hardship. So as you've asked and asked for better, for more, you've become more aware. Oh, we don't actually have to have this. Okay, so we don't actually have to have this. What else can we have now? Uh, and then more and more light code information essentially can come through and answer that.
I love that. I love that. And I just want to say thank you so much for being here, for sharing your wisdom, for sharing your light and your frequency. Is there anything you'd like to say before we close? I know I have to get Georgia out of here. She has a meeting in a little bit.
Yes, no problem. Hmm. The other very significant thing, two significant things, dear ones, two significant things, because we want to encourage people who may just be coming to this information. And some of this that we speak of is advanced concepts. But the wonderful thing is, when you're in your heart, you don't have had to earn this information by even having been on the path for a long time or done so much work that you're now deserving to get, the secrets of the universe handed to you. Because again, the heart doesn't operate like that. And the human collective truly benefits by the more the merrier in the heart center, because that is what will generate your collective reality in a better way is to understand the basic things, heart centering. The other basic thing is you are here on Earth, so you're always working in partnership with the Earth. Nothing becomes physically manifest here without mirroring codes of creation from the Earth. So being grounded with the Earth, recognizing and not trying to escape the Earth. Many dear ones who are here for this work are used to being in a looser vibrational stream, and they have struggled a lot with the human density, which makes them go, oh, I don't want to be here. It's too difficult. Well, it's not the earth that's difficult. Again, it's really the restriction that you've had enforced in the human egoic framework. So if you can sort of put that aside and really go, the earth is magnificent and it is my partner and it is the most abundant resource that I can have to support my life here in physical manifestation, and literally get out there and tree hug and get your feet on the earth or visualize this grounding support on the earth. It helps to dissolve a lot of the lack limitation programming that you actually inherited from the human consciousness. And Georgia has a whole boot camp on that, so we won't open up the whole thing. The other thing is to be in the now moment, to receive the new creation, because everything becomes manifest in the now moment. And when you're really in the future, or in the past, you're actually not in the now moment. You're not in the open gateway where the experience actually comes forward. And there is a real desire to know what's coming. And what we want to say is the heart has seen it all. The intelligence behind the heart, the master consciousness, has seen all your outcomes, has seen all the potentialities, knows that you deserve the best, and has processed that data because it is infinitely intelligent, and it's trying to give you that one.
Yeah.
Now, when we start to give details like, oh, it could look like this, what happens a lot of the times is people start to get into their minds. And then they start saying, well, in the future, when the aliens arrive, or when this has happened, or the solar flash has arrived, or whatever it is, these spiritual ideas that start to come into the mind, that start to put people into the future. Now you are not in the window of manifestation anymore. You're actually in a state of resistance. And it may be just a very slight state of resistance, but it is still actually resisting you in this now moment, receiving those codes that will actually generate your best heart blueprint manifestation. So we understand the curiosity, we understand the desire, we understand that you know that there's something better coming, but just beware that the mind wants to get a hold of that information and then start controlling the process. And you know what the mind creates: polarity, division, separation. So even if the aliens arrive with their shiny spaceships, all the wisdom of the universe to give you all the technology, if you're running it through your survival, if you start to generate that reality through the mind, what's also going to come with that? War, fighting, oh, it's the good aliens, the bad aliens. They're stealing our territory. You're stealing our territory. Do you see, dear ones? So we really want you to get in your hearts, in the now moment, grounded to the earth, in more of a receptive, surrendered state. Let it blossom. Your desires have already been heard. It
Mm.
is known. The best outcomes are already known. And that's best outcome in every moment, if that makes it not just one best outcome, but in every moment. The thing that's going to get you faster from here to here, from here to here, it's already known. If you can surrender into what we call the heart blueprint and allow yourself to be guided in tune, because even part of this shift, there is a certain order to help you go through this adaptation with as much ease as well. So, what do you have to look forward? We would say, go into your heart and say, heart, show me, what does life look like beyond this old survival framework? And go into some imagination. You're welcome to go into some wild imagination about it, and to stretch your neural pathways and say, heart, show me what does reality look like without polarity? What does life look like without the pervasive frequency of suffering, which is also part of the 3D egoic framework? You really don't know. If you start really processing that, you realize that you have actually no idea. And so any ideas that you have about how it should look are probably still being somewhat generated by the mind's idea of something. So that's why we say we can tell you things, but just the best thing we can tell you is try and let it go, and allow it and be delighted by it and respond to it instead of trying to control it.
I love that answer because I think that's something a lot of us get stuck on that little
Struggle with that.
wheel going forward.
And remember, dear ones, the other thing is, as soon as your heart centering, you are already creating your reality. And it's okay for you to start to create your heart reality, even as in the background there are still broader issues going on. If you feel like your life is getting really wonderful from this heart created reality, but you're aware that there's still suffering, then your job is to simply say, there's more suffering over there. I'm taking the energy from that and I'm giving that to my heart, and I'm surrendering this over to the master consciousness. You're a little bit more like at the buffet of life, going, these, I'm like, yay, give me this dish. And this dish over here, I'm going to give that one, send that one back to the kitchen.
Love that.
The kitchen, the grand consciousness kitchen, recycle that and bring it out, bring the energy out in a different way, and then start consuming that.
I love that. I can see why you chose Georgia because she is funny and so are you.
Dear ones, yes. Enlighten up.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate all you have to offer, and your lightheartedness is so appreciated at this time. Thank you
Indeed.
so much, the Circle of Light, and I thank you and I appreciate all you have done.
Yes, we will bring the channel back for you. We adore you also very much until we're meeting in this way or some other way. We love you very much. And for now, we'll say goodbye. Goodbye, dear ones. Bing.
Oh, how are you doing, Georgia?
Good. I'm good. Good fun.
Oh man, I can see why you and the Circle of Light are so much fun together. And
Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah. They
oh,
just, the way they lay things out, I think is, just really beautiful and they're very free of story, which is, I think, something unique to our work that even there are stories going on, they're more about whether it's in the spiritual plane or in the material plane, they're more like, what are the themes of that story? Do you want to keep them? Or do you
mm.
want to send that one back to the kitchen and maybe go for a different one?
Go for the dessert.
The dessert, see what they've got cooking up for dessert instead. Yeah.
No, it is absolutely wonderful to hear their perspective. And I know you have been working with them for a very long time. And I want to let people know again to go on your website because there is so much
So
on
much
there.
stuff. Yeah, and we do a
So
lot of
much.
content. We have a lot of content. I also have a lot of free material, a lot of ways that you can edge into this work because again, you want to acclimate yourself to the frequencies, start to the more you can expose yourself to some of the teachings and the frequencies, it actually helps prepare you to have more direct interactions with them because their energy is very strong. So if you have some tools for processing what's going to come up to get out of the way. My whole email list, we have this thing called the Pastor Master gift bag. It's to give people those processes first and get them to start working. How do I heart center? So when you actually come and work with them, because we do one-on-one sessions and we're about to launch our university as well. We have the Monday nights, which is where you can come and lie in the frequencies and receive the teachings. But about to launch at the university, which is going to be like a live interactive thing, so people can talk a bit more directly to them in a group setting, and we do the one-on-one work. Um, the more you can kind of get the basics down, then what you're going to get out of any interaction is going to just shift so much faster. So we really try and lay a foundation that people will get the most out of everything and get the whole picture. Same with Spread Your Third Eye, the podcast. It's created an opportunity to get to hear more of it for free and get more of the fundamental teachings down or concepts, just start breaking down what I can shift the matrix of my reality because the work is super powerful. Like when you work
Right.
with them, the stuff that happens is like bandwidth A to bandwidth B pretty quickly. Um, so we want to teach everybody, we want to empower people with those teachings, the tools, give them access to the frequencies because that's again how we're going to get the collective bandwidth to shift, and that's the purpose of our bigger work is to assist with the planetary shift to help all of humanity get into a new bandwidth.
And to me, I think that's the most important thing there is to help shift us all. We're not here to just shift. You shift yourself on your
Yes.
personal level, but as you're shifting yourself, you're shifting the rest of the
You're
world
shifting
with
the rest
it.
of the way. I mean, it's your whatever you're seeing in the world is your creation. That's the whole thing. And that's a pretty hard thing to accept, which is a
Yes.
bigger principle of our work, is that you are the all consciousness and whatever you are perceiving is your creation, whether it's things you love or things you hate. And if you can get to a point of acceptance of that, you step into a level of power to actually shift stuff rather than being like, well, they're the bad guys over there doing this stuff. And we get it. Like from the little me, there are bad people, quote unquote, out there doing things.
Yeah.
But we are also those bad guys because we are connected by the fabric of human consciousness. And when you can get back to that producer role, like I'm the producer of the theater, instead of fighting at the table, it's incredible what you can do and how you can really shift the big pictures as well. And that's how you shift your perception and the experience of humanity.
And I think that's something a lot of people, you talk to so many people. What's my purpose? Why am I here?
Yeah,
What can I do to help the world? What can I
yeah,
do to help the next generation? And
yeah, totally.
you're showing everybody what it is. You're
And
put,
that's a great point. I just would love to add that in the more comfortable Western world, let's just say, where we are not in war-torn areas, although some people would like to manufacture that right now, but
yeah.
we are not. Um, we actually, I think, believe that we have incarnated at this time to do the energy side of it a lot more
Mhm.
because we are in a little bit more relative comfort and a lot more our survival needs are a lot more accommodated. So our piece of the pie is to do that energy side because unless you're going to go work frontline in Gaza or frontline at the leading edge where suffering is really happening, we still feel the suffering of it because we are connected by the fabric of it. So when people feel that strong wave of emotion coming in about this story or that story, it's because we are connected to it. Only the mind's veil of separation says it's happening to those people out there. But
Right.
our role, our purpose can just be if I do this work of harvesting the energy about the stuff that's really charged for me, and everybody has a piece of different piece, like
Right.
not war has been a big theme for me to work through. So I'm usually going to talk about a war example because that's just a big theme that I've been working a lot on the collective energy. Other people
Yes.
it's racism. Other people, it's poverty. Other people, it's whatever it is, control. It doesn't, we all have pieces. In our library, we have nearly 1,000 recordings, and we have recordings on clearings on every major theme humanity has played out because we've done this work. Every time people listen to it, they're helping to divest more energy out of that. They're helping to uncreate that. They're helping to remove that from our collective bandwidth. And again, if you've tried all the little me things, like you've signed the petitions, you've donated some money, and it's still present in your matrix, like obsessing you, upsetting you, there's charge about it for you, then this is the way forward for you to contribute by actually divesting your energy that's creating this and putting it into a new framework.
That's something so key, I think, for a lot of people to hear because a lot of people go, what else can I do?
Yeah, what else can I do? Yeah. And we have a boot camp called Bend the Matrix that really goes into this to help people understand how we are creating everything in our perceptual field. Um, and these are ideas that obviously am distilling from what the circle has shared over, 20 years and stuff like that. But our particular slice of this piece of pie is to really help people, empower people to take more charge of the projectional matrix that they're experiencing and do the work to make it better for yourself and everybody, your family, your community, and for all the people on the other side of the world who are not getting the good end of the stick.
You know, I've talked to a lot of people where they almost come down on themselves because they are living in an area where we don't have the war, we don't have that connection to it per se. And for them going, why am I living this better life?
Yeah,
And I love how you're saying because now you're able to use that energy and put it where it needs to
yeah,
and put that energy out there. That's so
totally.
powerful for so many
Yeah,
people.
it's super powerful, and I think it helps a lot because I know if a story is like tearing me up, there's certain themes that really tear me up, like Anything that's related to the like oppression of Indigenous people, war, that I'll get like so charged about it. But if I really sit down and I do the work, I do the planetary template clearings and these specific techniques we share, what will happen is that that charge will start to dissipate and I'm able to get back more focused in my now moment and receiving. But then I know that I've done my piece by doing that. I've divested that bit of energy that's like obsessing me, the shiny toy, and I've put it into something new. And then I'll do that piece and then I'll hear like, oh, a treaty's been signed or like something then will shift in the quantum matrix that I perceive, which
Yes.
is a reflection of the energetic shift that's happened from doing the work. So that I've seen that happen so many times that it helps me trust that doing the energy work actually is enough. Even though there may be a lot to do on certain things, it does work. It is enough. And if that's what you can do, an hour a week to do that work, that's awesome. And then enjoy your life. Then receive the life that your heart is creating for you, because we also have to build that new bandwidth. The more that people are living in their joy, in their heart joy, that is genuinely emanating out into the world and creating the better systems as well that we'll see become manifest. But they're going to be created from that, not from this.
That you said something so important, and I don't even know if you realized it, but you probably did. But you said to put that out there, use your energy, put that out there to shift, to do those changes, how you want to see things, and helping with war, division, and then sit back and receive. Because if you don't receive, you just miss the whole point.
You missed that point because resistance is a waste of energy.
Yes.
It's our job to receive it. And that can really be hard for people who care. I'm
Yes.
not saying that can be challenging for me too. I have an amazing heart created life. Really, my direct quantum reality is full of joy, amazing people. It really is. And I can struggle with being like, but if I don't worry about all this other stuff, but one of the things I really had to learn, that worrying is a state of resistance and it actually keeps the matrix frozen at that frequency. So we either freeze the matrix at the state of where what I'm worrying about is going to stay manifest, or I receive the energy in the worry in the storyline, I work with it and I dissolve that veil. And receiving is key. Resistance creates suffering. Receiving is what creates flow. And we don't want to resist that there is war out there, because that's also
Right.
resistance. So it's not about being like, no, don't look at it at all and just be positive over here. It's about like, if that's tearing on me, I'm gonna sit with the energy of it. I'm actually going to receive the energy of it, bring it into my heart and purify it and surrender it and give it to this master consciousness. So I'm never resisting. I'm receiving. I am trusting the heart that can rewrite that better, and then I am receiving my day. I am receiving my now moment. And if another big story comes in that gets to me, again, I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to receive the energy of it. I'm going to do the processes that we have, and then I'm going to give that energy to my heart to do the rewriting, re-architecting, redesigning of it. And then I'm going to receive my day. I'm going to receive my friendships. I'm going to receive the love that is around me. I'm going to receive the abundance that is flowing in. And I know if I'm in my heart, what I am receiving is never taking from somebody else.
Yes. That's something key for people to hear. I've got to say, and I know I've got to get you out of here. I've just got to say, what you have been sharing today is very profound, and I feel very profound for so many people to hear these words, to understand what you've been saying. You and the Circle of Light have shared such amazing information, and I can't say enough about how thankful I am that I was able to be here to be part of this and sharing their message too, and sharing your message. Absolutely amazing. And your heart your heart is just beautiful and shining and just so amazing. And I am
Oh,
just so in honor of you.
thank you, Angela. We've been at it for a while. I'm just very grateful that people are helping us to get the word out there. I think in the collective, people are probably more ready for what we share than they have been as well. So thank you very much for creating a portal and a gateway to help us get it out there. And you are also a beautiful, beautiful being of light here. It's been a wonderful conversation, and your questions have opened up a lot of, you know, lovely transmissions.
Oh, thank you so much, Georgia. And I just want, is there anything else you'd like to share before we close for today? Because I know you have a session, you have a meeting real
Yes,
quick.
yes, I've got no stress. Yeah, our website is circleevolution.com. It is pretty much the gateway if you go there to the podcast that we do, Spread Your Third Eye. The thing that I'm most excited about is, well, we have our Monday Night Awakenings, which is an amazing program that's been going on for years and years and years. And through that, we have the Activation Gateway, which is the library of over nearly a thousand, probably 1,000 transmissions right now by the Circle of Light. But the exciting thing that is coming forward now is this university where we're going to really, because we want to, I'm so excited for people to really get this stuff and use the practices in the most powerful way. So that's what we're going to be launching in like probably November. So I'm not sure this might be out there by then, or it may not. But that if people are ready to like get into this and do the work and shift the reality, it's going to be fire.
I
I get to
love it.
that circle already. I'm ready. The portals, when we gather as a group and do energy work as a group, is very powerful. And that's the other reason why I'm very excited, because everyone's going to bring their archetypes into that group, and we're going to work on a lot of themes and do a lot of clearing. It's going to be super, super powerful. And it's just going to add to the body of work that we have. So sign my email list, get in touch, stay on, stay connected to when we launch that university, or come join us if it's already launched.
I love that. And again, that is the
Circle
circleevolution.com.
Evolution. Yeah. No, just circleevolution.com.
Yeah, Circle Evolution, just and all those links will be down below.
All
And
there. Yeah. Hmm.
And then make sure to, I just want to encourage people to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you're on X, Pinterest. There's so much more out there. So make sure to check all that out. You've got your books out there, The Circle of Light and the Philosopher, Another Magnificent Day. There is so much on your website. I've got to say, I started going through your website. I'm like, holy cow.
It is a little overwhelming for people. That's why I also do a free 45-minute consultation, because people do get a little overwhelmed with how much we have. So we have certain pathway. The Path to Mastery gift bag is also a great way to start. Few things to start. Just sign up for the email book, maybe the Path to Mastery gift bag, and then we try and lay it out for people like, okay, come try this, come try that, because there is a lot.
It's a lot, but I think it's amazing because there's so many people with different interests. They can go on there, they can find anything that they are working through, things that
Totally.
they're interested in. You're you have given so many specifics on there where people can go and look for very specific items to go
Yeah,
through and find. So to me,
totally.
I think that's absolutely amazing. So I
Thank you.
encourage people to go through and check it out because there is so much on there, but in a really good way because you're going to find what you're looking for, guaranteed.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm proud
Oh,
of
thank you. Thank you,
that.
Georgia. And I just want to thank you again, Georgia. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for your time and sharing all of your knowledge and the Circle of Light's knowledge. Thank you both for being here. I appreciate it so much. And I want to encourage everyone else, make sure to watch the next episodes of Edge Talk Radio. They're on the first and third Wednesdays of the month at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you've missed any past episodes, no worries. You can find them on YouTube, Facebook, on either my YouTube page or on Edge Magazine's YouTube page. They're also available on pretty much all the downloadable podcast areas. So go ahead and check that out. And I am just so thankful. Thank you so much, Georgia. And I want to thank all of you, all of the people listening, expanding, watching. We are all amplifying our universe together. And I thank you so much. Have an absolutely amazing day.